Imagine that you have to give a presentation today that you're currently running late for. You made it on time, but you forgot the USB drive with your presentation file on it. The whole audience is waiting on you. What do? Or better yet, you're on your way to a job interview when you get stuck in an elevator. Both these frightening scenarios involve several examples of acute stressors. Now, what is acute stress? You can think of acute stress as an imminent response to a short-term stressful event. Stressors like these can trigger the body's fight or flight response, producing temporary physiological reactions such as increased heart rate and breathing or sweating. There's an abundance of research examining chronic stress across the lifespan. There's a lack of research understanding how individuals manage acute stress. Now, research has educated us upon some conventional strategies to regulate stress. However, the use of virtual reality, or VR for short, can pose as a potential solution to this problem, which requires more investigation. VR is a 360-degree immersion with a head-mounted display that allows an individual to interact with an environment. Our overall aim for our study is, do biofeedback-driven immersive meditation VR applications mitigate acute stress? If so, who benefits the most from immersive VR meditation? Now, let's jump into our method, because there's always method to our madness. Recruitment posters were posted all around the Laurier Brantford campus. As mentioned in the poster, participants were instructed to wear 2 pieces of physiological equipment. The first was a chest strap, which measures heart rate, the amount of beats per minute. This would go on participants' skin in the middle of their chest. The second piece of equipment was called an EDA bracelet. EDA stands for electrodermal activity, which is essentially perspiration or sweat levels, and it is worn like a smartwatch on the wrist of the non-dominant hand. Obviously, we cannot forget our VR headset. You can think of our session split into 3 segments. The first phase captures the participant baseline along with the questionnaire. The second phase involves the acute stress simulation, and the third and final phase is the meditation simulation. My methods have multiple steps, but I'm going to bring it through you step by step. First, participants would be welcomed into the lab space in which they would meet myself along with my research assistants. Then, participants would complete an online questionnaire which would ask questions regarding demographic information along with variables that research has found impact acute stress regulation. Upon completion of the questionnaire, participants would be instructed to wear the physiological equipment. Once the equipment was placed, we captured a 3-minute baseline of physiological activity for each participant. This was important to capture because we actually could quantify the stress responses throughout the duration of my study. After the physiological equipment was placed, they were then able to enter the VR headsets. Since we are studying acute stress, we had to find an ethical and sound way to expose participants to an acute stressor. So, we did so by using the popular VR game Richie's Plank. The simulation involves taking an elevator to the top story of a city building. The task at hand involves stepping onto a wooden plank from a virtual skyscraper height and then proceeding to walk across the plank and to step off or jump off of the plank at the end. If participants elect to step off the plank, they would experience a brief, exhilarating virtual fall. After 3 minutes in the plank, we ended the simulation regardless if the participant completed the task. Participants, as we predicted, were pretty afraid of the plank scenario. They knew it was fake and a game, but it felt so real to them. This coincides with research telling us that VR can elicit similar reactions to real-life stressors. That's how powerful Richie's Plank is in eliciting acute stress.
Oh my god.
After the plank, participants exited the headset, they took a breath and got some water and sat down. We then verbally asked about their stress levels on a scale of 1 to 10, along with their motion sickness, in which we call it cyber sickness, from 1 to 10. When participants were ready, they then completed an immersive tendencies questionnaire. Now, this is a brief questionnaire asking questions pertaining to the level of immersion they experienced in the plank. Participants then entered the next room, in which they were able to sit down in a comfy beanbag chair. The third segment involves a meditation experience through the use of the application Helium. Virtual reality can also include a biofeedback component. Biofeedback is simply awareness and monitoring of physiological information. Throughout the meditation, as you can see, levels of physiological stress were still being recorded. After the meditation ended and participants took off the VR headset, we then stopped screen recording and also recording of the physiological activity. Participants were asked once again about their level of stress on a scale of 1 to 10, along with any cyber sickness they experienced on a scale of 1 to 10. Participants were asked to then complete the immersivity questionnaire a second time. Moving on, let's discuss our preliminary results based on our 10 student participants. Returning back to the aim of the study that I described earlier, we did find a significant result. The short answer is yes, acute stress levels were reduced from the meditation. Now, the second half of our question was, who benefits the most? Just briefly, personality in my study was operationalized or measured through the big 5-factor model of personality. Now, this model includes 5 personality dimensions that can be represented through the OCEAN acronym. For this video, we'll focus on the main finding regarding neuroticism. Individuals scoring higher neuroticism, that is, the proneness to emotions, exhibited a higher stress reduction after the plank scenario. And secondly, people scoring higher in neuroticism actually deeply immersed more into the plank and meditation simulations. Since these are preliminary results, I will show you one example of a participant's physiological journey. The plank is the yellow line, which is indicating high levels of perspiration. And the blue and green line are looking at the baseline and our meditation. Hypothetically, at the end of the meditation, which would be the end of the study, we would want to return participants back to their baseline that they came in with. That would indicate that they've relaxed and calmed down. With this participant, we successfully achieved that. So what? Wrapping up, our preliminary findings can hold numerous implications. Not only can we advance acute stress research specifically by leveraging VR technology, we can also optimize and personalize interventions within universities and across populations that foster stress management. And lastly, we can improve the quality of our everyday lives. When we enhance our current physical and mental health, that can reduce the likelihood of developing future negative health impacts. Young or old, stress doesn't discriminate. It's a part of our lives and it's a part of us. However, we're now one step closer into managing these acute stresses in our society.